All right, recording everywhere. All right, will Bitcoin crash below 33,000 again? Let's find out. My name is Gomes, and I've been in the crypto industry for almost a decade. And if you're feeling that feeling of FOMO inside your body, wait until the end of this video and I will tell you my perspective on the industry as well as Bitcoin and what it's going to do in these next few months. So just like any other market, okay, most erratic movements that happen in that market are correlated to the emotional state of the traders. Okay, there's a sort of a dance that happens between the narrative, like what's happening in mainstream media, and how the individual or how the people trade. Okay, there's almost like this collective psychosis that happens when one person or one group of people pushes the thing over the edge because of their own emotional reaction. The market sort of follows it along. I honestly believe that's why we have the ability to do TAing, technical analysis, because it's not that the math is making patterns, is that the people are very not individuals, but groups of people are very predictable. Groups of people are super predictable. It's almost mathematical. So there is a trading aspect to that. There is a being aware of the emotional state of the collective group or industry for you to better trade, for you to have a better experience trading. Now, with that said, try to step away from trading. Trading is a very small variable in the entirety of the crypto industry. It's very limiting and it's very stressful. And so if you really want to get off that emotional roller coaster and get into, a fun roller coaster where you're having fun, or one that's maybe on the opposite side of the spectrum where you can just chill at the beach and just relax and like look at your numbers and go, okay, great. And then close the laptop and relax at the beach in the ocean, right? That's what we all want, right? Yeah. So if you want to be able to get off that trap of the emotional trading and looking at crypto the way it is, definitely check out my course. I talk about all that stuff and all the layers of Bitcoin and crypto that can give you the confidence to step away from that type of making money, from that type of trading aspect. With that said, let's look at some facts. Okay, let's look at the industry. Let's look at Bitcoin, and let's look at what is really driving these prices up. Okay, so here are the facts. The current system, the current centralized banking system, is having a 2 to 3% inflation rate per year. That's been the average for decades, honestly. And in the last 2 years, we've had an increase of almost 7 to 10%. That's inflation. That means that your $100 in the beginning of last year was worth $100, and now it's worth about $93, $90, or give or take. So that's a huge chunk of change. If you increase that amount to thousands, hundreds of thousands to millions, that 7% is ginormous. Where did that money go? Where did it go? It didn't go anywhere. It got diluted. That means that they created out of thin air more of these pieces of paper, or they just added an extra zero to their bank accounts online because it's digital anyway, and diluted your supply. See, that's something that doesn't happen in crypto. In crypto, let's just say Bitcoin specifically, there is a deflation rate. So you have in the SWIFT system, the SWIFT centralized bank system, you have an inflation rate. In Bitcoin crypto, you have a deflation rate. Interesting. The exact opposite, right? The deflation rate is enormous. We're talking every 4 years. Let's just talk about Bitcoin specifically. Every 4 years, there is a 50% cut, a 50% deflation rate. And that's not even taking into account that it's a finite asset. There's only 21 million Bitcoins that will ever exist. 21 million Bitcoins. And just so you know, out of these 21 million, about 2.5 million are lost, burnt, stolen, destroyed, thrown out. What do they do with them? I don't know, but 2.5 million are gone, meaning that those will never enter the circulating supply. We currently have about 16.5 million Bitcoin that are in circulating supply. Created, there's about 18.5, almost 19 million Bitcoin. That means that there's still technically about 3.5 million Bitcoin, 3.5 to 4 million Bitcoin that need to be created, generated. And that's going to take, because of the deflation rate, it's going to take another 100+ years for that to happen. You're probably wondering, well, somebody can come in with a supercomputer, with a quantum computer, the quantum drive, right? You know, everybody was talking about the quantum computers, how it's going to come in and kind of destroy the industry. Okay, let's say that's true. There's a quantum computer out there that they're going to all of a sudden connect and just destroy the whole industry. Wouldn't you think that maybe there's going to be more than one of those? That maybe there's going to be two, and one will kind of balance out the other? Or maybe it's too late. Maybe we already have so much processing power and it's increasing at such a rate that it doesn't matter anymore. So let's look at some numbers, okay? Let's look at some numbers on the internet, really, and how it all kind of works. All right, so let's think about the processing power of Bitcoin alone. I want to share my screen because this one's a big one. All right, so here is the Bitcoin network currently. I think this was about a few days ago that I pulled it up. But if you look at the way bottom there, it says network hash rate, petaflops, 80.7 million petaflops of processing power. What does that mean? What's a petaflop? Well, let's take a look. So if we go to this cool little graph that I found, you see that petaflops is a measurement. It's a type of measurement that equates to the processing power of that specific device. So it starts here at K flops, M flops, G flops, T flops, P flops. Sounds familiar, right? It's like bytes. You got kilobytes, megabytes, gigabytes, terabytes, petabytes. Bytes are storage, flops is processing power. Bitcoin alone, just currently, Bitcoin alone has over 80 million petaflops of processing power. Whereas the fastest supercomputer in the world currently has 442,000 teraflops. There's 10 massive, powerful supercomputers around the world. The one that has the most has 442,000. The one that has the least has 30,000. Even if you put all of the supercomputers together, it still does not have enough processing power to gain the 51% processing power needed to make a modification in the Bitcoin network. Then you take into account that an iPhone 11, okay, what are we, an iPhone 13 now? I don't know, iPhone 13, is this it? iPhone 11 has 736 gigaflops of processing power. There's a new iPhone being introduced into the Bitcoin network every day, at least one. Let's be realistic, it's probably a lot more, hundreds to thousands a day probably. And every one of those that enter the network and downloads a Bitcoin wallet and starts to help that network process or become a node in it, it's now increasing that processing power, the flops. So you have to think, is it really possible to modify or change or dilute or manipulate or infiltrate a system that is physically, we're talking physics, physically impossible to modify? I have to ask that question. I have to. Now I get it. Okay, there's a huge gap between, understanding and feeling the confidence to get into the industry. Okay, I even have this chart here, which is this. It's the Dunning-Kruger effect, and this is true for really any kind of new innovation or new technology or something that you don't understand. There's a wave that happens in the human body to try to understand something. It can be slow, it can be quick. It's just a matter of how fast you want to go through that wave. So confidence is only possible. Confidence is only possible through the repetition through the repetitiveness of consuming information, or repetitiveness of whatever action it is that you're doing to be a master at it. Crypto is the same thing. It's not just another asset class, guys. It's not just stocks, commodities, crypto. This is a whole thing. This is a whole shift. And unless you put your body into it on a daily basis and start to look at it on a daily basis and consume the information on a daily basis, it's going to be very difficult to get to the point to where you can then step away, feel comfortable, feel confident, and not have to be there, an hour, 2 hours a day. You can just do it for 10 minutes, 15 minutes. But it requires, for you to get to that point, you have to go through the difficult layers, which is clearly shown here in the Dunning-Kruger effect. So just remember, guys, the U.S. national debt is currently at $30 trillion. It is better to be in debt. It is actually more profitable to be in debt than to have savings in the bank. This is the system we're in right now. We've been taught one thing and they did another. So we have to start taking back that power of control, that power of our finances, of our money. And instead of giving a third party that power to make money with it, we do it ourselves. And crypto is giving us now the ability to do it amongst ourselves without the banks. Forget the banks. Forget the centralized systems. Forget the politicians. We don't need them anymore. We can do this by ourselves in crypto. So, will Bitcoin go below $33,000 again? I hope that this kind of showed you sort of like a different perspective of the industry, that it's not really about trading, right? It's not really about trying to get the most in the short term, just like we do with stocks and commodities. This is a paradigm shift. And so I hope you think, when you have that question asked, will Bitcoin go below 33,000? I hope that the answer is, I hope so I can buy some more. Just because we are definitely entering this tight phase now where things are about to kick off. Let me show you a little TA here on the chart so you can get an idea of what's going on. So if we look at the chart of Bitcoin alone, it's on the day calendar. So I put it on the day calendar so you can see a bigger picture. We are currently here at 44,226. What I do is this: when I look at a project that I want to invest into, and I'm saying, which direction is it going? Well, I pull back and I look at the big picture. Right now, Bitcoin is telling me that it is springboarding up in the long term, right? Long term being here, the highest peak that we had previously was around November of 2021. It's around 68,000. So I can feel safe in knowing that we have that much room to go before anything changes, at least in the short, long term, right? Because short term, long term in crypto is very different than stocks and commodities. So I do believe that we will be going up. We will continue to go up. Why? Because there's a lot of testing that happened here. So if you look back, just the beginning of March, we tested the same ceiling, the same price we're at now back then. We did it before then in February, beginning of February. So it's tested it every month. And now we're testing it again, end of March, beginning of April. And I think this time, because it started early, we'll go right through it. And then the bottoms, right? You look at the bottoms, how many times that's been tested. March 15th, March 9th, February 22nd, January 21st through the February 2nd. And then it even happened back in July, right? Between May and July of 2021, those floors were tested. And you can see that the pattern here, if you look at the angle, it's all moving up, right? It's moving up, up. So in the long term, for sure, get into Bitcoin, get into any of these sovereign coins that are, that have deflation and a finite number to it. In the short term, you can see here, I think in the short term, we're about to break out. Worst case that will happen, we'll bounce away from the current price, 44, and it'll probably go back down to, I'd say, 38 to 39 around right here, and then we'll take off again. But it looks to me like this is it. In the next few days, we're about to explode. So to summarize, will Bitcoin go below 33,000? I hope so. So I can buy some more. That's my answer. You know, overall, I think the bigger picture here, or at least the biggest takeaway about everything that I've discussed here, is, you know, that this is a massive paradigm shift. That we're leaving an old centralized system and going to this new decentralized one. Trading is just a small fraction of that. Making money through trading is just a very tiny fraction. So don't get stuck in that paradigm where somebody needs to lose for you to win. Really start to look at it as like, man, how can we make money together online as friends? How can we do that? And once you get that concept, once you understand it fully and it really kind of ingrained, it's that moment that the experience of crypto will change for you. All right, guys, make sure you check out my videos here on YouTube. If you loved this discussion and my thoughts, make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel. Check me out on Instagram. I post a lot of cool links and videos on there and information. And follow me on the other platforms, Twitter, Facebook. I'm going to be on Twitch soon. Follow me on there. But make sure you always take a look at your life, take a look at where your relationship is to money, and just try to figure out a fun way of doing it, because it's there. The possibilities are there. The potential is there. We just have to start poking and prodding and popping it so that we can see it clearly. All right. Love you guys. And always remember to gamify your abundance. All right. See you guys later.